Sephora, for example, I just emailed one of the merchants and I said, our product is something that I think you would love. We came out in Allure, we came out in WMAG. We haven't even launched yet, but I think you would love it. And they asked us to fly in, I think, a week later.
Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to helping you show up and be seen as an entrepreneur. I'm your host, Alex Worley, the CEO of Empowerista, an award-winning producer and national TV host, seen on platforms like Entrepreneur.com, Amazon Prime, and Business Rockstars. These are the tips and truths to amplify your influence and income. My guest today is Sally Olivia Kim, the CEO of Crushed Tonic and author of Collagen Glow. Crushed Tonic is a wellness collagen beverage brand found at stores like Sephora, Anthropologie, and Free People. In less than 24 months, Sally has built a bootstrapped $1 million-plus company that Allure has dubbed as the next Korean skincare phenomenon. During our chat, she discusses putting yourself out there, persistence, and product development. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know I'm currently booking clients for Confidently on Camera, a 12-week one-on-one coaching program with me, empowering you to plan, present, produce, promote, and publish your first social media video series to ultimately increase your influence and income online. If you're interested in learning more, apply for a free consultation at confidentlyoncamera.com to see if working together is a good fit. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, excited to dive into your journey because it's been 2 years and you've bootstrapped a business to surpass the 7-figure mark, and we're going to learn how you did it. So first of all, let's go back to the beginning. Where were you in your life and what inspired you to start this company?
So I was, I think, 22 when I got burned. I was cooking and the pan flipped on me and all the oil that I was using to deep fry one of my arms, and it burned the skin off both of my arms completely. And I was trying to get my skin to heal and regenerate as quickly as possible. Following that, I was going to my dermatologist uncle and grandmother, and they were prescribing me things, but nothing worked. So I was going crazy. I had all these crazy burn blisters that were just popping every 5 minutes, and it sounds kind of painful and gross. But I went online and I was like, how can I get my skin back to how it was? So while I was researching, I saw that there was a city in Brazil where they were getting strips of fish skin and putting it directly onto the wounds of burn victims. And the collagen from the fish skin would be extrapolated, absorbed by the skin, and be used by the skin to make and regenerate new skin cells. And that kind of wowed me. And I was like, what? I want to do this. But, I wasn't going to put strips of fish all over myself. So I went and I started ingesting collagen. And after about 3 months of it, everyone was like, oh my God, your skin and hair look amazing. What are you doing to it? What are you putting on? And I was like, I'm not really doing anything but taking collagen powder. And this was, at the time only for my arms. I wasn't worried about my hair, my skin. So when I put the 2 and 2 together, that it was coming from the collagen powder, I started giving it to everyone around me. And I was like, you have to take it. You have to take it. And I don't know if you know the power of collagen. Have you taken it before?
I have, but not consistently. So why don't you give everybody a refresher and 101 education on it?
So collagen is the most abundant substance in your body after water. Most people don't know this, but our entire body, head to toe, is made up of collagen. And what collagen does is, if you think of your skin cell kind of as like a bean bag, it helps it keep up tight and less sickle. And when you ingest collagen, it makes sure to protect that uprightness, if that makes sense. And when you look at the reason we age or how we age, when we see our skin sag and our hair fall out, it's all directly correlated to your collagen levels declining. And around the age of 25-ish, our collagen supply begins to decline and our quality of it also begins to diminish. And that's why ingesting collagen kind of helps to resuscitate that, and your cells can come back to normal.
So you discovered this super ingredient through this life experience. And then what made you actually want to turn it into a business?
So again, I was 22. I never thought this was going to be a business that I dedicate my entire life to, but I just became obsessed with collagen. I was giving it to everyone around me, my friends, my family, and I was giving it to my aunt, everyone that I was working with at Condé Nast, and no one liked the taste of it. And because they weren't, dealing with as big of an issue as I was with my skin, they didn't feel the need to take collagen, and it really upset me. I was like, there's this amazing supplement out there you could take and it will get rid of like 50% of your, skin and hair woes, and you're not going to listen to me? Like, kind of sad, ridiculous. So I went back to the kitchen and I was like, how can I get it to taste good so that people were taking it, as if we take a cup of coffee every day, or we, socially go enjoy lattes and drinks. So I started formulating in my kitchen, started putting superfoods to the collagen powder that I was ingesting, and I came up with like latte mixes. Some people I made like matcha mixes for, some people I made coconut with acai berry, just a bunch of different flavors for everyone that I was like kind of like formulating on the side. And a month later, they all called me and were like, I can't stop drinking it. Will you make me more? So that's kind of the genesis of it. And that was about 3 years ago.
Amazing. So then I'm sure you had to make a more official version and product to take it to market. And I know that was one of the challenges off air that you said was product development. Give me a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah. So, in the beginning, I was bringing bags of white powder to work and like giving them out. So you can imagine how sketchy that looked. But I think in the beginning, my biggest kind of fork road that I was at was, do I go, the mom and pop shop style where I get cheaper plastic bags and obviously make it look homemade with love, or do I manufacture it at a commercial level? And everyone around me told me that I should go with the former. They didn't want me to invest, all my life savings creating something that they didn't know was going to work with the market. And of course, with the minimum order quantity and how much you have to produce from the get-go, the manufacturers require you to, produce a ton. And that at the time, when I didn't have a market, when I didn't have customers, it was super daunting to me. And I struggled with it for a few months, and I was like, you know what, I have to do this. I'm so passionate about bringing collagen to everyone. I'm so passionate about bringing wellness and making it taste good for people around me. And if everyone around me who initially hated it now love it, there's no way that people out there wouldn't be the same. So I kind of just bit the bullet, went with it, and haven't really looked back since. But it was definitely a super, super tough process, finding manufacturers. And it's still something that I struggle with, finding manufacturers that I can trust and sourcing all the ingredients to the manufacturer, making sure that it comes out exactly the way I want it, constantly formulating, developing different ingredient mix with different suppliers. If you really look at all the different ingredients that we've tested, times how many collagen brands have we tested, all their supplements, it could come out to, thousands of combinations. So sending those back and forth, visiting the factory, it was just like a lot that I had to deal with on top of working full-time at Condé Nast still. So that was definitely like probably the hardest couple months of my life.
Wow. And I know that your family was a little hesitant to you going this route. And that I think can be really tough when we have people around us that are doubting us or maybe it's coming from a place of concern. Exactly. Tell me about that experience. What was that like to be doing something you believed in so much, but people around you were really hesitant about?
I feel like when you start something, it's actually the people who are closest to you who are the least supportive. At least it was that for me. Now I have, a completely different environment, and my community is so supportive. And I will say that my family has been great. But I think in the beginning, they were like, why are you putting all of like your trust and everything into this? Like, why is this so important to you? Like, you could have like a nice, relaxed life, like get married and have kids. And like, this isn't the life that I envisioned for you. Like, going to visit factories, going to China, like, the whole thing. It was something that my parents were like really worried about. And even my friends are like, you have such a good job. Like, I was doing finance at Condé Nast. I was doing M&A and digital strategy for brands like Vogue, Vanity Fair, and it was like my dream job in finance. And a lot of my friends were concerned that I was leaving something that had so much potential for me in the finance route. But I knew I had to do it. Like I can't explain what made me feel so confident, but I think, just boiling it back down to I knew this was what I wanted to do and wanted to bring wellness to people around me. And even if the company went bankrupt and I failed, I know that I tried doing something with something that I really believed in. And like that to me, I think is the most important.
Yeah,
mantra.
kudos to you for your courage, because I think we can all relate to certain storylines and scripts being pushed onto us. And sometimes they're actually great storylines where you're working at Condé Nast and it's a life that you could be happy with, but yet there's this other thing that's just pulling at you, and
1,000%.
you listened to it and it worked out. And the beautiful thing is your two worlds collided. One of the things I know off air you were saying that really helped you get to the next level was your connections to the
1,000%.
publications. Can you tell me about that? Hey, super quick, if this episode is inspiring you, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. I release new episodes every week, same time, same place. And in case you missed it, I'm currently booking clients for Confidently on Camera, a one-on-one coaching program with me, empowering you to plan, present, produce, promote, and publish your first social media video series to ultimately increase your influence and income online. If you're interested in learning more, apply for a free consultation at confidentlyoncamera.com to see if working together is a good fit. Now back to the show.
Yeah, so I was working at Condé Nast, and every day I was meeting with, the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, Allure, and I got really close to them. I even pitched to Anna Wintour once, which was a crazy experience. But becoming friends with them, not even on a professional level, they were actually people that I loved hanging out with. And, as friends, like they began to support me, and they were drinking it like because they were obsessed with it. And it became like a really positive cycle where they were supporting me, giving me a lot of really great advice on how to continue to best improve and sustain the product and what kind of things that press would like to write about. And all of that was such a huge positive reinforcement for me to keep going forward. But also post-launch commercially, they wrote about it, and we came out in Allure a couple of times, and other platforms like W. And those are the key press pieces that helped us work with retailers like Sephora and Kith. So all of it was kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway is the power of earned media. And obviously not everybody works in PR and earned media and has those connections already, but there is a way of getting those connections
1,000%.
or hiring a publicist that has those connections.
1,000%.
So good to know that that's something that worked really well for you.
Also, cold calling. I think that people really underestimate the power of cold emails, cold calls. You can reach out to anyone now with LinkedIn and Instagram, and 50% of the people that I've worked with, that I've hired for Crushed Tonic, were all inbounds to me, because that shows a level of passion and tenacity, because they keep trying, that I think if I went and found someone, they wouldn't, it would be unmatched. So even if you don't necessarily have the connections to begin with, I think persistency and making sure that you keep trying, even though you may not get a response back, is something that I really want everyone to know. Like if you're sending out 100 emails, at least one will respond.
Yeah, and what kind of emails were you sending out?
Sephora, for example, I just emailed one of the merchants and I said, our product is something that I think you would love. We came out in Allure, we came out in WMAG. We haven't even launched yet, but I think you would love it. And they asked us to fly in, I think, a week later. So that was one of the craziest things. To be honest, I had no idea it was that easy. Like everyone was like, getting into Sephora was so crazy. How'd you do it? And I'm like, I did it with my cell phone, like at the airport when I was flying to Art Basel in Miami. Like, you really never know what can happen.
That is such a good lesson. I think a lot of times we assume people and businesses are less accessible than they really are. But the truth is, a lot of it is just realizing that we're all connected and being willing to put ourselves out there and just ask. And it is a numbers game. You're going to get a lot of rejection. But the more you put yourself out there, the more yeses you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
So any other tips you have for us for scaling to a 7-figure business in 2 years?
Always be working off a financial model. So in the beginning, I think a lot of people get so excited and they put all their money into it, which is fine. That's something that I did as well. But having a skeleton and a template to keep referring to constantly and making sure like, okay, I'm at this profit margin today. Like, is that going to be, in line with the model that I built a year ago to make sure that I wouldn't go bankrupt? That was one of the biggest things that like I attribute my, I hate saying that it's successful yet because it's like not, but not having gone
I'm sure
under.
You have a lot bigger dreams and goals that you'll reach. But reaching 7 figures in a business is a big milestone, and a milestone that a lot of entrepreneurs watching and listening would love to reach. And I'm sure your background in finance comes into play and is really helpful. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you started this business, how did you approach it financially?
So I was at a VC fund before, and I learned all the skill sets of building, like a very efficient business model. And I think that is, again, like the number one thing that any entrepreneur should do when starting a startup. You go and you look at you estimate how much you're going to be spending that year, how much you think you'll be generating revenue, the hits and losses you're going to have to take, how much product you're going to have to give out, how many times you're going to have to travel, get on the plane. All those things you have to just sit down. It took me, I think 2 weeks to build. It's going to be a very long, arduous process, but you sit there and you think through almost every scenario. And I promise if you do, like, no crazy scenario will completely throw you off track.
Yeah. And how did you come up with your revenue goals and make sure that you were reaching them?
So I built my model based off of how much I've purchased in volume. And then I figured, okay, if I sell 70% of that at a premium and I give 30% of that away, or, a healthy mix of giving it away or giving it a discount, and then projecting like that kind of revenue over month, the kind of growth I'll see, and then adding onto that, like different Facebook ads, Instagram ads, how I'm going to have to market, whether it's through experiential pop-ups or literally, going and giving it to someone, coming up with all the different line items for that, and then figuring out will they purchase at the pop-up. I like to make base case and best case scenarios. So I would say at this pop-up, I think maybe 5 people will buy for a base case. And then for a best case, I'll say 15 people will buy. So projecting revenue that way. And after making best case and then a base case, I like to come to the middle and find a healthy medium and healthy, because I think, sometimes base case is too low and I'm really underachieving there, and then vice versa. So I like to come to the middle and find a healthy ground.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about marketing, because obviously step 1 is to have a great product. And then of course you need to get the word out about that product. And I know one of those avenues is certainly social media. You guys have a great social media presence. You have a wonderful personal brand. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy around marketing and social media.
Content is king, so making sure that it's pretty and aesthetically pleasing, informational and educational about what the product is. It's kind of an interesting mix for us in terms of generating revenue through social media, because our demographic actually isn't on Instagram as much, our target demographic. We have clients who spend up to like $4,000, $5,000 a year, but they're not on Instagram. They're women over 55, 60, and those are the women who are the most concerned about anti-aging and will purchase, 2 to 3 kits a month just because, and they can. But for us, Instagram has become more of a platform for building our brand and making sure that people who maybe can't afford it today will aspire to in the next, few years. And it's been like tangential in terms of generating revenue sometimes, because we don't see as high of a conversion when it comes to Instagram ads and Facebook ads as some other consumer packaged goods brands do. But I think, for those who have seen it at stores or have caught glimpses of it on Instagram, will come and we'll look at all the different description and all the ingredients, all the science behind it, lead it back to the website. So it's kind of like creating just a multi-touch point of contact for our customers. But I think, this might be kind of unpopular opinion, but I don't love Instagram ads. Long story short, the reason why I went all the way around to say that is because I think that Instagram ads really can appeal to a certain brand if you're super to the point and what you are is really obvious to who you're selling it to. If you're a vape company, if you're a soap company, clothing company, you don't need to process as much information. But I think when it comes to smarter products or products that are more expensive, you have to have so much information on there. And it's really hard to do via text, even through video. And it might not be the best way to go through social media if you're just starting out.
Yeah, so Instagram has been more of an awareness building tool.
Correct.
What have been some marketing avenues that have been good conversion avenues?
Yeah, so we love email. People who have signed up, whether it was through experiential pop-ups or they've seen us online. I think press is really kind of the biggest thing for us. Well and Good, one of my mentors actually founded such a good platform when it comes to wellness. It's such an amazing educational place that people go to learn more about. I also love Quora, which is kind of a Reddit, but very niche. Are you familiar with Quora?
I'm not. Well, I've heard the name, but admittedly don't know what it is. Please enlighten me.
Quora is my favorite place. It's where you can ask anyone questions.
Quora. Yes. In my mind, I was thinking Cora.
Quora.
Okay, now I'm on the same page as you. Okay, so you're using this for marketing.
Yeah, and a lot of peer-to-peer crowdsourcing platforms I think are really good organic ways to plant the seed. But really those are very kind of small one-off. But I think press and having a lot of organic write-ups. We've never paid for coverage, but making sure that it's being seen by everyone in that press world and realm, and those who like it can write about it, and it again feeds into that environment.
What role do you feel your personal brand and developing your influence online plays in the growth of your business?
I love it. It's such an exciting time for entrepreneurs because they can show a face of them that they can't through the brand. In the beginning, I will say I was really confused how to act. I had started with 2,000, 3,000 just friends and people that I've met throughout the years from college, and out of nowhere I had to start being mindful of what I posted. So it was kind of a hard transition. A lot of people made fun of me for it. They'll be like,
who do you think you are?
Yeah, 1,000%. And it made me feel really self-conscious at first. But at the end of the day, it's what kind of helps pay the bills. And but beyond that, it's really amazing being able to connect with my customers and clients, and being, an Asian American entrepreneur, female. I'm able to reach a lot of the people that I kind of wish I had more exposure to growing up. And that's been such an amazing, wonderful experience for me, connecting with them and talking to potential future entrepreneurs in all parts of the world, but really more so just making sure that all their opinions are heard, and I can, use that to improve our brand, be the best versions of ourselves. And
I'm sure that by building a connection with you, it builds a connection with your brand as well.
Yeah, and again, like this goes like way beyond like the money part. Like I have a client who like she's been with us since maybe a year ago, and she'll like send me like handwritten cards, and I'll like send her like things that I think she would love. And we have like such a good like online best friendship now, and it's something that I would have never expected when I first started. But it's awesome that someone who can love my brand so much, our products so much, can like want to connect with us on a different way, more extensively, and we always welcome that.
And it helps you get to know them too, which helps you market to them and serve them, make products for them that much better.
Exactly.
Great. Well, where can people keep up with you?
My Instagram is at Salsters, SALLSTERS, Crushed Tonic, CRUSHEDTONIC, and our website, www.crushedtonic.com.
Wonderful. Sally, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's it for today's show. If you're loving this podcast, don't forget to subscribe so we can meet again next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing week.